Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Hall. I'd like to begin with the regular meeting of the Clearlake City Council and Redevelopment Successor Agency, located here at City Hall, Council Chambers at 14050 Olympic Drive, Clearlake, California, 95422. Today is Thursday, March 9th, 2017. It is 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Councilmember Overton? Here. Councilmember Bennett?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sabatier?
Here.
Mayor Burdock?
Present. Councilmember Bennett, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We don't have a pastor here tonight, so we'll just, we do, but he's not signed up. So we'll dispense with the invocation. Get right into the meeting. I always like to keep everybody guessing on what I'm going to do. Mr. Folsom, any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor, no changes.
Thank you. Motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Well, here.
Not yet.
We have a public presentation because this month we like to recognize our Meals on Wheels program, but the person to present this to has not arrived yet. So I think I'm going to move forward with public comment, and then we will jump back to your presentation. So at this time, I'd like to admonish you, this is a time for public comment. Public comment will allow you 3 minutes to speak on anything that is not on our current agenda for the night. Thank you. Please remember that council members cannot answer or address the person speaking. So if you're asking questions, we just have to sit here and listen to what you have to say. We cannot answer your questions. Again, you have 3 minutes to speak on any topic that is not on our agenda for tonight. So with that, I have Mr. Larry Rice has submitted a request to speak. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. Clearlake resident, I wanted to just say a few words about the late Measure D. On Friday, March 3rd, the Lake County News published the following comments about Measure D. Quote, as part of the special election next week, voters in the Lake County Fire Protection District are being asked to approve a special tax on parcels to ensure the district has the adequate staffing to meet the community's growing needs. Then they quoted Lake County Fire Chief Willie Cepeda. Measure F, he explained, is a tax on habitable dwellings that currently is $60 per year for a standard single-family dwelling. With the passage of Measure D, the district's special tax on properties would increase from $60 a year to $20 a year for a single-family dwelling. Cepeda emphasized that the tax would not be assessed on outbuildings, barns, or sheds, just habitable dwellings. Then in the voter pamphlet, when you look at that, this is a parcel tax that applies to vacant lots, residential agricultural properties, commercial industrial buildings, institutional. It says nothing about habitable dwellings. I can think of 3 possible reasons for this disconnect. One is Lake County News just simply misreported. Elizabeth Larson is a seasoned journalist. This is fairly detailed stuff. It's very hard for me to believe that she simply went that far astray. Second possibility is that Mr. Cepeda, who I don't know, was misrepresenting the facts in order to gain votes from the audience that he was presenting to. I don't know if that's true or not. If that was the case, he should step down. The third possibility is that Mr. Cepeda believed what he was saying, which implies he didn't read the voter pamphlet and really didn't know the topic about what he was talking about. If that's true, he's totally incompetent. He should step down. No wonder it failed. I also wanted to say a couple words about item 6 on tonight's agenda, the scavenger.
You have to wait till we get to item 6.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I believe it's Lillian McCurry.
Vivian.
Vivian. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
She'd like to
It's
speak
fine,
about
Maggie.
the road conditions.
I was just informed that that there's going to be a project starting on the roads. Is that true? Like 18th and Phillips, I heard?
I might direct you to our Public Works Director
Okay.
who's seated there. We
My
can't
concern
answer
is
questions.
The avenues, like I have to get work done on my vans. Like the concern to me is the potholes on 36th Avenue. And I'm sure multi-avenues have those concerns. I just wanted it to be, I just wanted to bring to your attention that there needs to be major work over there. And I know you guys know that, but I was just kind of hoping, where would I get that kind of information from? Like, is that even in the works? As far
A
as the
little bit of
avenue
information
side?
on that, but I direct you to speak to our Public Works Director.
Here, this guy?
Yes, that guy right there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those were my only two requests. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on a topic that is not currently on the agenda for tonight? If you would like to, this is your time. Please step forward. Is she here? All right. So seeing no one coming forward for public comment, I'll close public comment and we'll move on to the presentation. Councilmember Overton, will you join me at the podium? Pardon?
I do have some people.
Oh, please invite them up.
Hey, guys.
Okay. Would you please?
Sure will.
That's awesome. Hello, young lady. How are you? Who's drivers? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
We're gonna get together. Awesome picture with you.
Just by a show of hands, who is not familiar with what the Meals on Wheels program is? Very good. I'm glad you're here because we're going to educate you a little bit. The Meals on Wheels program is a fantastic program that's been ongoing in our community for 20 years, 30 years?
32 years as of.
And it's really an amazing program. I know in a prior capacity when I was in law enforcement, it was a life-saving program. The drivers would knock on doors to deliver a meal, find someone in stress or distress, either medically or other types of problems, and through calling first aid and getting medical treatment to them, actually saved lives. And it's very helpful for folks who are shut in, they don't have anybody to take care of them, to have these drivers regularly checking on them. It's just such a fantastic service that you all provide and provide around Lake County. And I had an opportunity and privilege to ride along last year with a delivery. Here she comes. Good, excellent. So we've been waiting on you. Doggone it. Anyways, and it's so nice to see the relationships that have formed between the drivers and the clients who receive the meals. I can't say enough about it, and thank you all for what you're doing, and please if you'd share that with the folks who couldn't be here tonight. But March is Meals on Wheels Recognition Month, so with that we requested a proclamation, and I'll begin with it like this. So whereas on March 22nd, 1972, President Richard Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older American Act of 1965 and established a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years of age or older. Whereas the Meals on Wheels Association of America established a national March for Meals campaign on March 2002 to recognize the historic month, the importance of Older Americans Act Senior Nutrition Program, and to raise awareness about senior hunger in America. Whereas in 2017, observance of the March for Meals campaign provides an opportunity to support senior nutrition programs and deliver vital and crucial services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger. Whereas volunteer drivers for Meals on Wheels programs in Clearlake are the backbone of the program, and they not only deliver nutritious meals to homebound seniors and individuals with disabilities, but also care and concern and attention for their welfare. And whereas senior nutrition programs provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout the city and help them to avoid premature and unnecessary institutionalization, whereas senior nutrition programs also provide powerful socialization opportunity for millions of seniors to help combat loneliness and isolation. So whereas senior nutrition programs in Clearlake deserve recognition for the contributions they have made and will continue to make our local community. Now, therefore, the City Council for the City of Clearlake does hereby proclaim March 2017 as March for Meals Month and urges every citizen to take time this month to honor our senior nutrition programs, the seniors they serve, and the volunteers who care for them. Our recognition and involvement in the National 2017 March for Meals campaign can enrich our entire community and help end senior hunger in America, so no senior goes hungry. Dated this day, the 9th of March, 2017. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome.
So let me tell you, a lot of our drivers are seniors, so if you guys would like to, anybody out there would like to volunteer, please come down to the senior center and sign up. This is my president, Shirley Kessler, who is our president of our
Who
board.
was late tonight,
Because you were busy probably helping us.
just finishing dinner.
And this is Deborah Hardy, who is my program coordinator. And so she is the one that distributes out all the information to seniors if they have question, problems, need help doing different things in their lives. We're there not just for the nutritional program, but we're also there to help you with any information that you may need. We also serve a congregant meal at our center, which is down here on Bowers, right behind Safeways, from 11:30 to 1. So it's just a suggested donation of $4 for seniors 60 and over. And the community are actually welcome to come for just $8. And we have salad bar, soup, you get your drink and your entree and your dessert. So I encourage everybody, including our police department, when you'd like to come down, to come down and enjoy a meal with us. So, and also, if anybody would like to donate their time, we are always looking for volunteers to donate their time. We're looking for board members. There's always things that are going on in our center, but without your guys' support, this center is just unable to function. So please show your support. This month is really special. It's the most important month to really get the word out for us. On March 25th, we'll be having our Meals and Wheels event down at the Senior Center. We'll have informational booths. We'll have vendors there. We're going to do a barbecue, and just kind of and then we'll have a march for our March for Meals. So please come down and join us on that day. Anything you want to say?
I just want to thank everybody for being here, and I really want to thank all of our drivers. Thank Debbie for all the hard work she does, and Robin and Leon. I mean, all of them. They're here because they want to be, because they have a love for our community, our center, and they're great people. Come down and enjoy us.
Well, how many years have you guys been? 10. So 10 years of doing Meals on Wheels. Nothing to beat that. 4 years. So see, they stay around when they get here, but we like to latch onto them and keep them too. So they're really awesome. But without these guys, we can't make it happen either. So I really appreciate all the hard work that you guys all do. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all again. And we'll move on to our consent agenda. Mr. Olson, any changes to the consent agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor, no changes.
Any member of the council wishing to pull or change anything? Seeing none, any member of the public wanting to discuss an item that's on our consent agenda, please let us know. Seeing none, I'll close that. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. And we'll move on to our business. And item 5, consideration to update the Clearlake Police Department patch. Resolution number 2017-12. Mr. Folsom, you're going to pass that to Lieutenant Selly?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We're actually going to do that. And just one correction, it actually is resolution -13.
1-3.
Yes, we have an error. So.
Make that notation. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the council, thank you for this presentation. Before you tonight is the concept of a police department patch. As you know, our city seal has changed and making our current patch obsolete. The city recently approved new city seal. The new city seal makes the old patch obsolete. Police department would like a new patch updated to match the new improved image of the city. Uniform committee was designed for this patch in-house by Officer Mike Dietrich. Officer Mike Dietrich is lived here his whole life. He's a part of our police department, and he designed this patch, and we're very proud of it. The design was overwhelmingly chosen by the department staff over other alternatives. It incorporates the city seal, excuse me, as well as the thin blue line flag. That's the patch. The thin blue line flag represents the line between order and chaos. It also helps respectfully honor our fallen brethren in law enforcement. It's over the top of the version of the city seal, which is below. We changed the sky a little bit to tone down the bright colors for our purposes. This update to the patch will help implement strategic plan goal number 4 to improve the image of Clearlake. Updating the patch will bring consistency with other graphics and images representing the Clearlake brand. Excuse me, bite off there.
It seems to be going around.
Everybody's got it. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. Officer Mike Dietrich, who designed the patch, is in the house tonight, and we're very proud of the work. The uniform committee helped bring this forward. Officer Mike Dietrich, the POA president, Sergeant Rod Joseph, Sherry Van Ness, who's dispatcher. Phil was on the uniform committee, and also Randy Harris, citizen, who helped us do the version.
Any comments or questions for Acting Chief? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions from public or comment from the public? I'll open that up for now. Very well, I'll bring it back.
I'd like to make a motion.
Can I ask a question?
I'd like to ask questions.
I do like to ask questions. I love the design. It fits perfectly with our logo, but yet also makes sure to, I lost it where I was. Make sure to let people know exactly who they are dealing with. The patch is perfect. I did look at okay, thank you for putting it up because I can't find it on my computer right now. I love the embedded of the blue line and the flag, and I'm just wondering if there was ever a look on trying to do the red, white, and blue, and having the blue represent both the flag and the blue line in the process. Because I'm trying to visualize it, and I'm not sure if it would be better or not.
I don't believe that was ever designed. The original design of this was done in subdued colors, and we like this version better. So that's what we came up with.
Okay. Other than that, the rest looks great.
I don't think the red would match very well with the orange yellow colors that we have. I think the red would just really be out.
Councilmember Bennett.
The subdued colors that Lieutenant Sully refers to has to do with officer safety, so that it doesn't stand out in the evening hours if they're doing a building search or whatever. If a light should hit it, it will not reflect off of it. Is that correct, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir. Any other questions or comments? All right, good. Mr. Harris, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2017-13 to update our police department's patch.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk, you got that taken care of?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Chief. Moving on to item 6. introduction and first reading of ordinance number 195-2017, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clearlake, adding section 5-24, chapter 5 of this Clearlake Municipal Code, prohibiting scavenging. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So 3 of the council's 4 main goals are to make Clearlake cleaner, to make Clearlake safer, and to improve the image of Clearlake. People scavenging through garbage in search of recyclables negatively contributes to our ability to do all of those things. Currently, there's no ordinance that restricts or prohibits scavenging, so the police department cannot stop anyone. Scavenging is a nuisance in neighborhoods, bringing opportunities to commit other crimes such as larceny or identity theft. The proceeds from scavenging are often spent on alcohol, creating issues with people consuming alcohol in public and or causing disturbances near businesses. Scavengers tend to strew trash around while searching for recyclables. Scavengers often put the wrong items in the wrong containers, leading to fines from the waste hauler. Anti-scavenging ordinances are fairly common in cities throughout California, and I just did a Google search to kind of see where they were. And a quick search found Davis, Sonoma, Palmdale, Sacramento, Atascadero, Norco, Foster City, Chula Vista, Encinitas, Palo Alto, Redwood City, Anaheim, Fountain Valley, Hayward, Los Angeles, Long Beach, Newport Beach, San Diego, Santee, Pasadena, Hermosa Beach, Los Alamitos. Police department might have others that they looked at, but those are the ones that I found. It's also very common for recyclables to become the property of the waste hauler once the collection bins are placed curbside. So either through a separate, through your garbage ordinance, it's either in there, and typically it's also in the franchise agreement that it becomes the property of the franchisee at that point. We don't have that in ours currently. So our recommended action is by motion, introduce the ordinance by title only, waive further waive further reading, schedule for second reading, and adoption at the March 23rd regularly scheduled council meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff by council members at this time?
Not at this time.
Thank you. I'll open it up for public comment. This is your time to address us on this item. If you have any questions, please step forward.
Hi again, I'm Gary Rice, Clearlake resident. I find this ordinance a little curious because I would think there are already littering and vandalism statutes on the books that could be used for this purpose, and it's very difficult to catch people like this in the act unless they're doing it methodically and regularly. So I have to think it's directed against a small number of people who ardently collect recyclables. As a frequent dog walker, I have observed several individuals who do that. They don't look like alcoholics to me. They look like they're very intent and active, and I haven't seen those particular people make a mess. So I'm wondering if it will have any effect, that the desired effect is really going to happen, because if it's enforced, it will probably only be enforced against those few people who do it methodically and are therefore visible on a frequent basis. I would think that current laws could be used with the same effect. And it seems to be criminalizing activity of the poor. These people probably really need that money. Is there evidence to back the assertion that this is spent on alcohol? I mean, that's an easy thing for somebody like Donald Trump to tweet, but is it true? I'd like to know if there's any actual facts behind that.
Would you like to address that question, Chief?
If I might, Mr. Mayor, if I can have Officer Harden and Sergeant Tim Hobbs answer those questions. They are the 2 officers that did the research on this.
Thank you, sir. Please step forward, officers.
Unfortunately, we have numerous problems associated with the scavenging. Not all times of the day people can come out and see them, but in the middle of the night or early hours of the morning, if you drive down the main streets, you see lots of people going through garbage cans. Often, officers will contact these people while they're doing that, and they're going to put the trash back in the garbage can. When you're not around, they go through these garbage cans and leave the trash on the ground around the cans. which is obvious. You drive around, you see cans, there's trash, debris laying on the ground around them. Like I said, normally when you catch a person doing it, or you go to contact them and see what they're doing, they're going to put the stuff away. They're not going to litter right in front of you. However, with an ordinance like this, when you see them going through it, you would have an issue you could address and to deal with the
A
situation.
lawful reason to contact.
Yes.
Anything you'd like to share, Mr. Harden?
I think everything's been pretty good.
Very good.
And additionally, from research, other cities that have used these, they seem to have pretty positive results. There's some other local cities too which have them. City of Sonoma and Ukiah use these ordinances, and they've been pretty effective there, or they've reported them to be pretty effective in helping to reduce thefts and other types of crimes.
Thank you. It's also my understanding the elements of vandalism would not necessarily apply in this case.
Correct.
Any questions of the officers while they're here?
Explain why the element of vandalism wouldn't apply, please.
If you have your trash can off the street and they're taking the property out of it, not damaging it, if they have to break into your garbage can that's locked or break into a security area where the garbage can is, we might have a vandalism. We're just taking items out of the trash can is not a vandalism.
Councilmember Overton.
So as the gentleman said before, I mean, we already have laws in place. Is there a reason why we need to put another law in? I mean, we have law, I mean, they're supposed to put their garbage can up after the trash has been picked up. I mean, so it should only be out there one night. You know, you say there's numerous, has there been complaints filed? Is there something on the records that we have had reports that people are doing these things, that you've had, you know, things like this? I mean, saying this doesn't prove to me that this is an ordinance when we have other laws that we can be following, that we already have in place. I mean, I just, these law things and keep putting ordinances just becomes a problem. You know, so I mean, I just look at it as it seems to me like it's another non-enforceable law that we're putting on the records that is not really going to be enforced as our park laws and everything else, because you don't have the staff to do this stuff. I mean, and I'm out and about all the time, around at nighttime and stuff, and I haven't seen this. So do we have reports to back this up? I mean,
we don't specifically track this issue. We do receive reports from business of people going to dumpsters on Lakeshore Drive, people going through trash canisters. Like I said, there's not a specific way that we track it currently. We do have these reports. A lot of the dumpsters, trash cans, if you leave them out in the street, some people leave them out longer than necessary, but some people have them sitting there yards away from the street. People go up to cans, get items through them. A lot of businesses have dumpsters that are in public areas that aren't necessarily secured, where it's not a crime to be at that part of the property, and people go through those items there. And like the littering, for example, if we don't actually catch them going through the item, the garbage can, leave the trash on the ground and walk away, we're not going to have littering. So we can't really enforce that. Where an ordinance like this, we see them going through the container, that's something we can enforce. Typically how these would be enforced is like the standard municipal codes we have, they're generally treated as an infraction. So initially we would give people warnings, you know, educate people of the new ordinance. On the first, few offenses, typically it would be cited as an infraction in traffic court. Like the current ordinances now, normally these would be misdemeanor crimes, those are the extreme cases that don't happen that often. Doing traffic citations isn't going to overly burden officers. They're not going to be getting reports on those. They're going to give them a ticket. They're going to go to traffic court. Obviously, depending on what other calls are going on in the middle of the daytime, these wouldn't be top priority calls we handle, but it would give officers at night a lot of reasons to contact people that are out doing things, that are also doing thefts of other materials that aren't just in the containers.
I mean, I just know that I know some of the people that go through the dumpsters are very polite about it. They do it at this youth center. So what I've started doing is just putting them in bags, so they don't have to go through our dumpsters anymore. They know that we have recyclables. We set them out in a bag, and they just pick them up, because I just didn't want them going through the dumpsters anymore. But they've always been respectful. They didn't trash it or anything. So it wasn't the people going through the dumpsters that trash our dumpsters. Is just some of the people from the community that are trashing our dumpsters and just throw their garbage in, and it falls on the ground and it's all over. But I've not had a problem with the people that are going through our trash, particularly at the youth center or the senior center dumpsters. And when I was at the shopping center, we didn't have that big of a problem with them going through there either. So, I mean, I personally have been in a lot of different places with dumpsters as far as the dumpsters per se, and I haven't seen where that was a huge problem. I just have questions on how to think about this. So, okay, I'll have to listen to the rest.
Officer, you've seen people going through garbage cans and dumpsters on your patrol?
Yes, I've seen them responding to calls for that. I've arrested people inside dumpsters injecting controlled substances, numerous different issues inside dumpsters.
And this is just a tool that would allow you to contact and investigate. And I was also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe our police record management system would pull something up because there isn't an ordinance currently in effect. So
Correct.
you couldn't really track it.
That is correct.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yes, sir.
And Mr. Mayor, thank you. If I might, you mentioned it, you touched on it, that this gives an opportunity for the officers to contact the individuals that are out doing this at nighttime and dumping trash. One incident in particular that I believe just happened in this last week, there was an individual that cut a hole in a fence of a local business just down the street from us to gain access to their yard to get recyclables, and that just happened recently, I believe.
Wednesday morning.
But wouldn't that fall under vandalism crime?
In that specific one, there was, yes.
But we may have been able to contact that person ahead of time and could have prevented that type of crime. Possibly.
So I would say there's a multifaceted situation here, because obviously one of the things we're doing by enforcing an ordinance like this is also protecting the people who are currently involving themselves in digging through potentially hazardous materials inside of a dumpster. Obviously those are put there for a reason and they can be dangerous. Also they're occupying the dumpster, possibly injecting illegal substances while they're in the dumpster, and then possibly even passing out and not waking before that dumpster is disposed of. So there's some pretty big issues here to think about. This is more than just the act of opening up a can and taking out some recyclables. We're talking about gaining access to dumpsters and getting inside of them and that sort of thing. It's a major issue. It's a major safety issue. I'm surprised we don't already currently have an ordinance in place for this. I have witnessed this myself at my own home, and all the way as I drive around, I sometimes drive in the wee hours of the morning, and I would say this is most prevalent between about 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning. Another major issue that occurs with this that should be brought up is that the disposal company, it's your property right up until you put it out there and you put it in there, and then it's property of the disposal company. So the disposal company comes and they take that away, and before they dump it, if they see anything or if they see anything while they're dumping it, they will actually potentially fine you as the homeowner for having contamination. This actually happened to me. So a situation where we have our recycle and our garbage, they were digging through from one to the other and transferring items back and forth, so you end up with a fee, an additional fee for contamination that took place. And I only knew this because I have camera systems and I reviewed that. And that's also another major issue. So there's really no reason why a person that has garbage service should have to worry about putting their garbage and recycling out. They're doing the right thing, paying for a garbage service, and then they have to worry about the additional fear of that and the potential fear of somebody becoming injured, or in the instance with a business, going inside of the dumpster and potentially being buried in garbage or whatever the case may be. So there's quite a few different aspects to this that are a pretty big deal. So I completely support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harris. Any other comments? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Any other comments from public? We're still at public comment. Just a second, sir. Mr. Leonard, I believe, has something to say.
Jeff Leonard, City of Clearlake. I see people not only in dumpsters, they come by my house with bags going to the recycling. Part of what's in the recycling, a lot of it shredded, but is some of my personal documents. They don't have any business going in those cans. That's wrong. You don't know what they're doing in there. Excuse me. When they remove recycling and the waste company doesn't get it, that's just going to increase our fees. That's part of what they use to keep these fees down as low as our fees are in this area. And since it's their property to say we don't need a law to stop somebody from stealing from someone, makes no sense to me. And I think the law is enforceable. We just have to stop people if they're walking along down the street with a bag going through every can. Just not a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this? Yes, officer.
Ryan Peterson, I'm also a citizen of Clearlake, also an employee of the police department. I support this ordinance. Many of the reasons that has already been spoken, the identity theft, things of that nature. In regard to the people who go through your cans who normally clean it up, you go next to, excuse me, grocery outlet, Safeway, and look in their bins. There's trash all on the ground around them because those people don't respect those areas like they do yours. Another security concern, other than the ID theft, is when an officer contacts someone, they could say, I'm going through the trash, I'm looking for cans, when they're actually prowling your property, okay? I know the people that belong and don't belong in my neighborhood because of the simple fact I know my neighbors, things of that nature. But I have someone who has no business being there that is reportedly scavenging, in all reality, scoping out my neighbor's property or mine, potentially to burglarize and steal other items. So that's a concern. So just want to bring those items up as well.
Yes. Any other comments during this public input? Mr. Heron, you got a comment?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to add to what Joyce was asking. You asked if we do get complaints. We get complaints all the time. Public Works, on our side, we have a big problem with our parks. We have people going through our garbage cans pretty much on a daily basis. Ball fields have their cans out there. We've tried numerous types of cans, locking them up. They cut the locks, they get inside, and they throw the stuff all over the place. And then we got to come back. And a lot of times in the summertime, that's what your parks staff's doing most of the day, is picking up garbage from these people that are getting there and taking this trash out. And Phil, you keyed on a very important point. The cross-contamination, which is a big problem. I have to deal with those. I take those calls, and when somebody gets a tag for that, an extra expense, they call and they ask why. Well, a lot of it is because of this, what's going on. People are putting in their garbage cans, they're taking that garbage and putting it in the recycle or the green waste. Then it goes to Ukiah, and they got to put it through their source separator, which costs them money, and then so they've got to recoup those fees as well. So that was a good point, Phil.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public before I close public comment? Very good. I'll close public comment, bring it back to council for deliberation. Vice Mayor.
I have concerns over this just because I feel like we're talking anecdotally. There's no data to show us, and in the summary we received, we automatically went from going through garbage cans to drinking alcohol and littering. I know that littering is a misdemeanor crime, and we can't do anything about it unless we see it in action. And so I would like us to at least maybe discuss about our littering fines, because I hear that they're very weak, and maybe increasing our littering fines so that maybe we can also try to prohibit that through increasing the fines. The example of vandalism, at that point there's other crimes being done. I just feel like there's that we're all speaking very anecdotally, and I can speak of, similar to Councilmember Overton, in my experience in my neighborhood. Yes, there's once I've had to ask somebody to go away because they made a mess. I cleaned up the mess. I've never seen them come back and make a mess, and there's others that come and they are very respectful in the way that they handle their business. Granted, that's not always the way that it happens, because there's a variety, there's a bell curve of people throughout this town and the world, and so there's some that are good and some that do it respectfully. I just don't have all the data in front of me to show that this will solve the littering problem or will solve the drinking problem. I'm thinking the drinking problem is based on addiction, and so if we take this away, they'll find another way to find alcohol. So at that point, I don't think that's really solving that problem. Yes, there is a problem with identity theft. Yes, there is a problem with health, safety, people digging through garbage cans. You have no idea what you're going in there, and I'm already very worried for those who have to handle garbage on a daily basis because you have no idea what's inside. And so definitely that's a fear. So it's this balancing act of, I know some that use this for food, personally. I know some that definitely probably use it for alcohol. I also know some that collect it so they can go gambling at the casino. And so I would also like to see our code enforcement push and enhance our ability to say, and I'm one of those people they need to talk to, make sure to keep your cans inside your property at all times and only put it out during the day. That way we don't create the ability for people to constantly be going through neighborhoods and going through trash cans. And I don't think we're doing that right now, and I think we should. And if we don't have that on the books, which I believe we do, then we need to get that in the books, because that will clean up the neighborhood just itself. I think there's ways also that there's a service, and Doug, you can, or Mr. Herron, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that I'm sure this is for people who are disabled or something of the like, where there's a service that the garbage company will actually go in your property, grab your garbage can if you call them and ask them to do so. And so if there is this issue that's ongoing and you feel like you're getting hit with a fine, then there's other alternatives to dealing with this. I just, I know we're moving forward as a city. I don't think economically we've moved forward as much as we would like to. We have people who are struggling. I don't know how many of us in this room have ever had to dig through a garbage can, but I can't imagine that life is going really well if you have to dig through a garbage can. And so, because of the desperation of that act, I think we need to find a balance on how to still work that out. I like Joyce's idea that she's been doing over at the youth center. Maybe we can allow people to drop a bag and let people pick that up. But that seems to add, if everybody did that, that would be an added bag, and that just wouldn't necessarily look clean or friendly either. I don't know, I feel like this is a idea to go towards a cleaner and safer city, but I'm not sure as to how. I mean, we're talking 20 people that we're being affected by, and maybe providing an offer, a card to help them, because we have so much mental health issues around here, rather than slapping them with a crime when they're probably not going to go to court, they're probably not going to pay the fine, and now we're putting them into a system of repetitive bad cycle. I don't know if this is the solution to that problem. I appreciate you guys bringing this to us. I appreciate the work you've put into it. I'm just not sure if I can agree with what's on here in front of me.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Bennett.
When I first saw that this was coming before council, I had some concerns about it. Scavenging, dumpster diving is probably right up there with the oldest profession in the history of mankind. However, reading the staff report and speaking with business owners that I frequent, restaurants, and reaching back to my own experience within the city, and right here in the City Hall complex, when I've come to work in the middle of the night in front of City Hall or the police department and found trash all over, because they went in to get our cans that city staff or from the police department had put in there oftentimes so scavengers can have them. And in the morning, here comes public work, first thing in the morning to clean up the trash. Like the mayor said, this is a tool. It's not, nothing's going to stop it. You know, we have crimes against homicide. Look at Chicago, it still occurs. Nothing is going to stop it, but it's a tool. And if used correctly, the department's not going to go out and immediately cite each and every individual. It's like a trespassing up at the Safeway Shopping Center type thing. They get a warning that's good for how many days, Lieutenant?
It just depends on the circumstance for trespassing, but that's absolutely correct. We would be warning people.
Yeah, but they get a
and
warning.
educating.
It's not a cite the first time, the second time, probably the third time, they're gonna get a cite, and it's an infraction. It's not gonna break anybody. And it's a progressive, just like in the workplace, it's almost a progressive discipline. It fits into our city goals to make Clear Lake a visibly cleaner city. It's not a negative connotation towards the homeless. You know, God love those people. Many of them out there don't have a choice as to where they are. Many do. But they need to be educated. It's a tool for the department to use, and if used correctly with oversight by administration and supervision, it's an effective tool.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Harris?
One of the aspects of this thing is that I think might be confusing slightly is that I see this ordinance in no way, shape, or form criminalizing the act of recycling. And obviously, like Joyce had stated, if we're making arrangements with somebody that they're going to leave your recycling for you or have it there for you available to pick up, there's nothing wrong with that. That's an enterprising spirit. I think what we're talking about here is the criminal act of entering a private vessel that your personal belongings have been put into, and that being taken without your expressed consent. And I think that's the major concern. I see nothing wrong with walking through and saying, hey, would it be okay if I had your recycling? And a lot of times you're going to get the yes answer, because a lot of people feel very strongly about assisting people, especially when they're structured and they're coming through in a polite manner and saying, hey, I'm not going to dig through your cans, but would it be okay if you set your recycling aside for me and I'll pick it up? I don't personally see why that would ever be an issue. But what we're talking about here with the ordinance is not the act of recycling or recycling in a structured manner, unlawfully going through somebody's personal property or the property of the disposal company without permission. And I think that's the main thing we need to separate there. I don't see why somebody couldn't recycle. That's not what we're talking about here. So,
And if I may, I'm just going to read.
No, that's okay, go ahead and let you go.
If I may read, police officers on a daily, this is from our summary that we received in our report. Police officers on a daily basis contact and or respond to calls for service to deal with subjects that are consuming alcohol in public and or causing disturbances near businesses. Many of the subjects consuming alcohol in public get the funds to buy alcohol from scavenging recycles from trash and recycling receptacles. And that's where that statement comes from. It's not to say that recycling is bad. I just feel our report is kind of saying recycling leads to alcohol consumption, which becomes an issue. And I don't think that is consistently 100% of the case. And if we're taking away, potentially, food away from somebody to feed themselves when they're already in a desperate situation, I think we need to review this and relook at it. And I know that it's difficult to say, you have permission to go through my garbage can, or here you have my permission to do this, because how are police officers supposed to know the difference between somebody who has permission when the owner is gone, maybe at work or maybe doing something else, compared to somebody who is not given permission? And so that makes it very difficult, which is why it's hard for this to just be a tool that I find hits the hardest of our population.
Councilmember Overton?
I think you all have very excellent comments on all of it. And like I said, I have not had the problem, but maybe it's because I couldn't hear it. You know, I did something to make sure that it wasn't a problem. And there's still some that still go through, but they've never trashed anything. I do remember a few times though, after you mentioned that at the Safeway Shopping Center where there was some that were pretty bad. One of the things is there's a difference between scavenging and shooting up in the dumpster, sleeping in the dumpster, stuff like that. That doesn't have anything. That's just being on private property, and they shouldn't be there, and you can basically remove them. So that doesn't really have to do with where this law would really help in any way, shape, or form. So I think maybe what we're saying that this law will help in some of the things, but I think some of those things, there's laws already in place that we can do. I see the point where going through the recyclable and contamination, that really didn't come into my mind at that when I was looking at this, so that was a very good point. I mean, I think there's some bad and goods on this. I just really have a hard time with some of the people that I deal with, because they are good people and they just kind of use this to survive and they recycle. Some of them, are just trying to supplement an income, and they're not doing anything wrong. I just have a hard time just like giving somebody a ticket for that if they're not doing anything wrong, because we have a couple, and I'm sure it's not that many that we have in our town, that trash anything. So, I mean, this is kind of one of those catch-22. I do understand why you guys would want it. The contamination part is a good point. I do know you get fined if your stuff is contaminated, because, by the way, I've had that happen to me too. So, I just, is there something else we could do besides being fined? Is there something that, I mean, like, if they were to get fined, what is going to be the fine for them? I mean, what is that going to be? A fine? Is it going to be a community service? Is it going to be something? I mean, we're talking people who obviously don't have money already. So now, if they, like we said, they're not going to go to court probably. Then they're going to have a warrant out for them, and then we've taken some piddly little thing and we've created the criminal. So I don't want to be that person doing that. So how are we going to determine what is the fine on this and what is the process for this? Who determines that?
Councilmember Overton, it would be, the initial stop, again, we would be educating and warning. We wouldn't be out there just automatically, if this were to be approved, we wouldn't be issuing citations right away. There would be an education period, just like we had with our park situation when we approved the park ordinance last year, and we developed a process for that. If in fact, maybe it was a situation where we've told this guy several times, hey, you can't do this, and we still find them doing it, and the officer does decide to cite that person, they would be cited in traffic court. So that would be up to the traffic commissioner to decide the fine for that. The maximum fine it could be in our municipal code is $500 fine with 6 months in jail potentially. But that's very egregious. That I don't know that would ever get to that level, but those are what our misdemeanor codes are in our municipal code. Excuse me.
So it could be anywhere from $0 to $500.
Whatever the traffic commissioner decides. If he decided that he wanted to sign somebody up for community service, that would be up to the commissioner.
So that's another problem then. So, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in response to your question there. Typically, from talking to people who we cite for the other CMC violations in the parks, those things, open alcohol containers, a lot of them basically they get fines that are under $100, and normally they do community service instead because a lot of them don't have the funds to pay the fines, and the traffic court normally lets them do community service.
I mean, I just don't want to be creating I don't want to be the person creating the crime and creating a person who's just trying to make ends meet, which is a lot of these people. I know you guys, like you said, you think it's all alcohol, but I know a lot of them that do it just to make ends meet. And I mean, I don't really want them to become a criminal. And because they don't have the money to go and they get a ticket and they don't have the money, they know they're not going to be able to pay the fine, so they just don't go to court. And then it becomes a bigger problem.
Some do in these cases, but a lot of these traffic ones we do, a lot of the people, they do go to court, and they, like I said, they end up doing community service. That way they don't get a warrant for a minor traffic infraction.
So is there a way to do some kind of, I mean, is there a way to, let's say, have the garbage company post something on their cans, a sticker of some sort saying, I guess the ordinance number, you're violating if you, do something. I mean, I think those are some of the things we probably need to talk about with the garbage company, how this would, if there's a way to help post this. Because, I mean, we got 15,000 people here. How are we really going to notify them all if it's not really on the garbage can? So I think maybe there needs to be a little more communication with the garbage company of how we're going to do this and how it's going to be labeled before I feel comfortable. I mean, I understand everybody's staying here, and I want everybody to be safe, and I want you guys to have your tools that you need for if you need criminals. I don't want anybody getting contamination fines, or I don't want anybody getting hurt in the dumpsters. But there has to be a process here of being able to put it out to the public. So I understand this is our first reading, and normally the second reading goes on a consent item. I would like to not have that on, if this passes tonight, not have it on a consent item. I'd like to have a communication with our waste solutions there and find out how it can be posted and on there. I know they have, like, you know, what you can recycle and all that stuff. Is there something that, you know, we can post on there that would let people who are scavenging through them know that it is against the ordinance of the city? So if we can maybe talk to them and bring something like that back, you know, I do understand everybody's concerns here. But my concern is making a crime out of something that I really don't want to. And we can encourage people to put the recyclables out like I do, you know, like I said, like I do. So maybe it would just be some advertising things. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Councilmember Bennett.
I think it's been explained pretty clearly by the officers who created the staff reports that nobody is going to be made a criminal on the first, second, and probably third contact. One of the biggest issues facing the state and what facing our country is nanny government. People have a responsibility to obey the laws, take care of their neighbors, and don't trash their neighborhoods. And we have a responsibility to protect our community out there. This is a very benign ordinance. Those who wish to go along with it are not going to be subject to any action by the courts. Those who don't wish to go along with it, just like those who violated and probably still continue, some of them do, I can think of a few, are park ordinances and drinking in the park and stuff, they pay for it. But it's gone down considerably in the last year, 2 years because of our enforcement. We started out with warnings. Many of them accepted those warnings, some didn't. Then we ended up with citations. Some of them accepted that, went along with community service. Some of them didn't. Those who didn't kept it up, ended up with warrants, ended up with some jail time maybe. We don't need a nanny government. That's not our job. Our job is to put this ordinance in effect, let the department have the tools they need to do their job. They're not going after some poor individual out on the street that doesn't have anything to back them up. They're not after them. You know, our officers give more warnings than they do citations on traffic stops. They're not the bad guys out there. The bad guys out there are the ones trashing our community.
Vice Mayor.
I just want to say that I think the park ordinance is kind of apples and oranges. They're actually doing something that is not really benefiting their life. They're drinking alcohol and doing drugs in our park where our children play, compared to here digging around for some dollars, which some may use for alcohol and others for other things. But I did want to go specifically to the ordinance itself rather than repeat myself. Why do we need Section 2B? I believe it is already illegal to possess a shopping cart off the premises of a shopping center. And so is that just a repetition of a ordinance that we already have? Because it sounds like here, with recyclables in the cart, I don't think we should really care what's inside the cart. If there's a cart and it's off premises, at that point you already broke an ordinance. And I don't think we're going to duplicate multiple infractions onto one ticket, one infraction of a shopping cart is pretty much good enough, I would suspect. So if I can be explained why that needs to be there, or do we not need it to be there?
Vice Mayor, on this one, I believe the shopping cart ordinance applies when they're off the property. This one would apply if they're still on the property. So they're going through the containers or the garbage cans or dumpsters at the Safeway property, and they're still on the property, and we don't see them take the items out of the cans, but they're in the parking lot, the shopping cart ordinance isn't going to apply yet. And we didn't see them take the items out of the can, this would be able to be used in that case.
Good point. Thank you.
I have one question.
Okay.
Is it legal? Okay, so isn't the shopping centers kind of private property? So is it legal for you to go onto their property if they haven't called and do something? I'm just curious. I'm asking the question. So so is that something that somebody from the shopping center, a business person, would have to call you and say, these people are going through our trash, we want to stop, or they have to contact you in some way, or do you have the right to just go on the shopping center, like at Walmart or the youth center or the ball fields or wherever that are private, private property? Are you allowed to go because of their dumpsters, or I'm not quite sure?
Yes, all the shopping centers in town, they're private property, but they're open to the public.
Okay.
So the public can go, unless an area is fenced off or closed off, the general public can go on those areas. Obviously, the police department can too. We would deal with these if the business is called, or potentially if we had a problem person that we were having issues with doing this, and we are at the business, we see them doing one of these things, we could obviously contact them and try and solve the issue that way. But generally, it's going to be if people call to this issue, we're not going to be out looking for every person doing this. We're going to be looking for the ones that we know are causing problems doing this, that we know specifically, the person A and the person B, they get their cyclables, they go to the center, they get money, and they get a couple 24-ounce beers and they drink them in public. Or the people that we know are leaving trash on the ground. Or if the business is called because they specifically don't want a person doing that, we would respond to those as well.
And if I might add, we have had meetings with the business owners of the shopping centers because they've been, the local businesses have been complaining about vagrancy issues and things like this. Again, we're not offering this up as a fix-all. It's just another tool. When we go there and we see these vagrants causing these problems, we can tell them to leave. If they don't have lawful purpose to be there, then we can ask them to leave the property on behalf of the owners.
I said, at the parks, because you brought up the parks, parks, we got to put signs up, people can see that's an issue, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is we can put it in the papers and all we want, but not everybody really does, where you don't have a computer or any of that stuff. So, I guess one of the things is if this goes through, I'd really like to see some talk, and maybe something brought back at the next time it comes before us about what kind of signage we might be able to do. Is the shopping centers willing to say, post the ordinance and say this is illegal, to let people know for a while, and give them some time to get used to the change. So I just kind of like to have a little more information on what we might be able to do for signage. Can they send something out? I don't think it's going to be necessary for them to send anything out in the bills per se to tell the owners, because those aren't the people we're having to deal with. So I don't want them to waste their paper or their time doing something like that. It's more, what can we put on the cans? What can we put in the, around the dumpsters or on the dumpsters? So.
Thank you. Vice Mayor. Or have you already said it?
No, I just looked it up.
You left it up. Any other comments? My turn. Trying to fill a gap. Officers can't just drive down the road and stop and contact someone without some reasonable suspicion or furtive movements that the person's committed or something like this, in order to either have a stop and contact or to have a detention. We mentioned that this is a tool, and if an officer sees something amiss, whether it's someone prowling around a house in the wee hours of the morning or something like that, they can't come on private property to investigate what they potentially see as a crime. This, again, is just if they see someone in a dumpster or in a garbage can, this is a tool for them to go in contact. I've had the opportunity, and I've experienced, I think, some pretty level-headed thinking with our officers. I know others have gone on ride-alongs with our police department, and I'm hopeful, I've seen the same things, that when they make that detention, they're going to make that advisement. I'm concerned about what is the additional cost per container for our waste hauler to put that advisement on there. There's no requirement in the law that we have to post every law or make someone aware that this is a law and that is not. Often, I mean, like murder, we don't need to tell someone that it's against the law to do that on both sides. It just, people should know that. But I do get your point. And the other thing that concerns me is this is a theft. It's a theft of the recycling from the can. Just because we roll it out into a public area does not give that person the right or the authority to go into the can to take what is now belonging to the recycling company. It was pointed out, and I thought very well, the recycling company, they use that money to offset the costs for our residents. So we do have a pretty low-income community. And I would hate to see that our trash fees would go up for those people who have that service, simply because we're allowing others to rummage through it and to take that profit away from their margin. Vandalism and trespass, I think that's kind of a call that the officer's going to make at the time, whether they're going onto property to retrieve what is in the cans on the private property. It's not on the street yet. I've seen people do that. I've witnessed people going into the dumpsters, and it's not just the things that are contained in the dumpsters. There's also cardboard, there's pallets and things like this that we found then spread around our city, which takes away from our strategic plan and our goal to make it a safer, cleaner city. The cross-contamination that Councilmember Harris brought up. I've had that happen in the association where I live, because people are dumping their trash illegally, throwing home garbage, wet garbage, into recycling cans and such like that. It does have a financial burden on the user or the customer. Tracking data, I think that was very well explained. It's hard to track that data because this is not a crime yet. So the RIMS reporting system, you can't punch in the violation number and then have it come up with how many contacts we've had because of that violation. But I'm sure that if this is passed, that would be available to us probably down the road. Last thing, penalties, work time versus fine. Again, I think that's a pretty, it gives that officer that opportunity to use his discretion or her discretion on whether to cite, admonish, and I can say from personal experience, I kind of had the 3 strikes rule that Councilmember Bennett brought up, and it's kind of an education process. You're talking with the people. Now, obviously, if they come back with some attitude or they're not learning the lesson you're trying to share, well, then you can invite them to talk to a judge, and they would be able to maybe explain it better than the officer can. But that, again, comes to the officer's discretion. And I think, again, while I don't want to have unnecessary ordinances, I think we actually in this country have far too many laws that just aren't applied and are old and obsolete that we should probably remove. But I think this is valid for wanting to keep our city, get it cleaner, keep it safe, and it's just a tool to give these officers a reason to stop, make a contact, and ask somebody what they're doing in your dumpster. So that's my final comments. Do we have action? Everybody speak up at once. Councilmember Bennett.
I would move that that by motion I introduce ordinance by title only, waive further reading, and schedule for second reading and adoption at the March 23rd, read the wrong one. In the ordinance number 195-2017, an ordinance adding section 5-24, chapter 5 of the Clearlake Municipal Code prohibiting scavenging.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton,
I'm going to say aye, as long as we can have it brought back onto the main agenda and not on the consent calendar next time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably that's the intent, that it's the mayor's discretion about doing that, but I don't see any reason why you'd want to have it on consent. There's more
And
discussion.
if it's on consent, we can pull it at that time to...
So you really can't say aye with the conditions.
I'm sorry?
I said aye.
Okay.
Councilmember Bennett,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier,
Nay.
and Mayor Purdott.
Aye. Thank you all. Moving on to item 7, consideration of appointment of 3 planning commissioners to fill a 4-year term effective March 12th, 2017 through March 11th, 2021. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to ask our city clerk to present this.
All right, Honorable Mayor and council members, there are 3 planning commission seats expiring on March 11th. That is Commissioner Webb's seat, Commissioner Kramer's seat, and a vacant seat left by Commissioner Cheryl Hutchinson. She resigned in December. We advertised and accepted applications with a February 16th deadline. We received 3 applications. The incumbents, Carl Webb and Russ Kramer, and Pastor Richard Bean. The Planning Commission Appointment Ad Hoc Committee met, consisting of Mayor Purdott, Vice Mayor Sabatier, and Planning Commission Chair Antis, met via email and reviewed the applications, recommending forwarding all 3 to the council. So the staff's recommended action is to appoint the 3 applicants to the 3 upcoming vacancies on the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any comments by council? Very good.
Thank you for submitting your applications.
Thank you, Council. Any comments or would anyone like to speak on this item from the public? Please do so now. This is your chance. Let's try to form an order line to the right. Okay, bring it back to council for action.
Would it be nice if they all got up and introduced themselves before we make an action?
Well, that would be nice. Sometimes we're not so nice. If you would like to come up and introduce yourselves, I see that the applicants are present in the room. Please do so. Senior member, Mr. Webb, would you like to step forward? Look very nice, sir.
Thank you. I hope this isn't going to be as controversial as the last issue.
You never know.
The introduction will make or break.
My name's Carl Webb. I've been a planning commissioner for 16 years. I'm the most experienced of the planning commissioners that we have on the city commission. We have a lot of stuff going on now with developing businesses that are in the works. You need experienced commissioners to work on that kind of thing. And I think that I bring a lot to the commission for that purpose.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for serving the 16 years that you
Thank
have
you
done
very
so
much for your
far.
service.
Absolutely.
Mr. Kramer.
I'm not quite as well dressed as...
It's a nice jacket he's wearing, isn't it?
Well, yes,
It's a nice jacket.
Hey Rick, my name is Russ Kramer. I've been on the Planning Commission about 15 years less than Mr. Webb has. I've been learning on the job. My experience coming into it, though, I've been a real estate appraiser. I've been in real estate sales. I'm a farm manager. Have a pretty good background in land use. So I felt that I could help, and as Mr. Webb says, I think we have a lot of important
things coming up in the future. Our airport project, the Walmart project, to name a couple. And of course, the redoing of our codes and our general plan. So I felt that I could contribute, and that's why I re-upped.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Mr. Bean.
First of all, I think it may have been helpful to have prayer before we started.
I would have asked you, but we have to submit it in advance.
Okay. I'm Richard Bean, and I'm excited about being considered for the Planning Commission. I'm a retired pastor. I've pastored the Clearlake Church of the Nazarene for 22 years. We bought our home here in 1978, raised our family here. I'm pretty much a long time Clearlake resident. And I've always been concerned about the direction of our city, the importance of helping the city improve its image, and especially the economic development that we need, jobs, and we were just talking about the homeless scavenging for recyclables. There's an opportunity there to help those that are in need that can find a way to earn some income way beyond scavenging for recyclables, and that's an issue that's important to me. And I was concerned about the issue of food and people that scavenge for food and hunger. So we have a problem with feeding and helping the homeless, helping those that are indigent to have good, healthy meals and find a place. They don't have to do that. That would be the goal, I would hope. So anyway, getting back to the Planning Commission, good to be a part of this, and I've wanted to help the city in any way I can. I'll add my benefit of my experience to that. So
thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Any further public comment? I'll try to bring it back again. Okay, there's none. I'll bring it back.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion unless someone else has a comment. I'd like to approve the appointment of 3 planning commissioners to fill our 4-year terms effective March 12, 2017 through March 11, 2021. And this includes Richard Bean, Russ Kramer, and Mr. Carl Webb.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you mind doing a roll call vote?
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Bennett.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier.
Aye.
Mayor Purdom.
Aye. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you for your service. Very well. Moving on to some really heavy issues up tonight.
If I could just interrupt, just to let everyone know, we will be swearing in the new planning commissioners and former, what do we call them? Returning, good word, planning commissioners at the next planning commission meeting on March 21st.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. So moving on to number 8, consideration of mayoral appointments of an alternate representative for the Abandoned Vehicle Authority, or AVA. And my selection was Mr. Harris earlier, but I understand that there was some discussion with the county group as they're formalizing that. Nothing to do with you, sir. They like you very much. But anyway, to make it official, so we needed to have this done again anyway. So that's what we're discussing. Any comments?
This is just to formalize it.
Just to formalize it.
And if I can just give a little bit of background, Mayor.
Please.
Currently, we have an abandoned vehicle abatement authority. It's a joint powers authority between the County of Lake, the City of Lakeport, and the City of Clearlake. There's currently no allowance for an alternate within the AVA board, so the people who are on the board are the people on the board. But at our next meeting, it's on the agenda to be discussed, and I anticipate they will be adding alternates to that. So that's what you're talking about tonight.
Thank you for the
We're getting ahead of
clarification.
that.
I was confused.
Confusing with that.
So we're approving your appointment on the condition that they open up an alternate position.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Any other?
Yeah, with my curiosity here, Mr. Mayor, if I am put in as an alternate, they approve that idea, and I am put in as an alternate, would I go ahead and continue to attend with the original member as well? Or only in the case of that he is not able to attend?
It's completely up to you whether you want to attend or not. I would encourage you.
Yes, I would. I just want to make sure that was allowed.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be a voting member, but.
Right. And that's exactly the purpose of the alternate, is that if the main member is not there, that you can then become a voting member. Currently, the way it stands, if our representative doesn't show up, we don't have a vote.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, for filling in on that. Any other discussion? I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to comment on this item? Sorry it was so confusing to start out. I'll take responsibility for that. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll close it and bring it back to council for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to confirm the mayor's appointment of Councilmember Phil Harris to be the possible alternate.
To be the alternate.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Congratulations, Councilmember Harris.
Thank you.
Consideration, moving on to item 9, consideration of creation of a standing marketing committee. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we do have a marketing committee that's been meeting since approximately February of last year as an ad hoc committee. We've been meeting on a very regular basis. A number of different deliverables have come out of that, including the new city seal, the city motto, some advertisements, and ideas for other events. I don't really see an end to this committee. Ad hoc committees are by definition temporary and typically created for a specific purpose. Standing committees are for committees that meet on a continuous basis. Since the marketing committee continues to have projects to work on, it would seem to fit more as a standing committee. Standing committees, just FYI, are subject to the Brown Act and postings and all that good stuff. So our recommended action is by motion approve the creation of a standing marketing committee and confirm the mayor appointments to said committee.
Thank you. And just for some background, prior to this, Councilmember Overton and Vice Mayor Sabatier were appointed to that, and they had expressed their interest in remaining. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address this item, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the creation of a standing marketing committee and the mayor's appointments to said committee.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None. And now we're moving on to our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm sure everyone is aware of this by now, but the Wyzeta building, the demo is complete. The property's been scraped. There's a little bit of work that still needs to be done once the water level goes down, but basically the demo is done. After many, many years of having that kind of a standing eyesore, it's now down. I want to thank our city staff, Public Works and Building and PD and everybody else, along with the fire department, the county, the Fish and Game, but most especially the DA's office. They're instrumental in making this happen. They're prosecuting this, and it's not over yet. We have had our code enforcement ad hoc committee meeting. We went over a number of things. We're talking about making different prioritizations, and we're going to be meeting again in a couple of weeks for another meeting on that. Just as an FYI to everybody, the lake level this morning was 9.02 on the Runzie scale, releasing 3,940 cubic feet per second of water. So the water is receding. You can see that on Lower Lake Shore and other areas of the city. So good news. It looks like we've got a bunch of sunshine coming up as well. So also just want to make everyone aware, the publication will be out shortly, but the Walmart Environmental Impact Review, the draft for public review, will be starting on March 16th. it's going to be a very exciting planning commission meeting on March 21st. Not only are we going to be swearing in planning commissioners, but we're going to be talking pot. We're going to be going over the marijuana cultivation ordinance, as well as our marijuana dispensary ordinance. So should be an exciting evening. And then our annual Clearlake cleanup will be Saturday, April 22nd. And that concludes it. I forgot. Our city attorney wanted to mention something.
Yeah, I just wanted, Mayor and members of council, there's a new case that came out last week I want to take 1 minute to talk about, and that's the city of San Jose was involved in a Public Records Act case that eventually went to the California Supreme Court. You've probably seen a lot of literature about it, but basically the court has expanded, we'll call it transparency, to say more records that were otherwise previously not subject to public records are now, and those would include potentially personal email accounts of staff and elected officials. So what I'm going to be suggesting that's not agendized, so we really can't discuss, is coming up with a policy about using city email addresses, using city devices for your city business. In the past, probably a lot of council members and staff may have intertwined their personal emails with city emails, and I think we need to move in the direction of sticking with city addresses. It may be inconvenient, but I think in the long run it's going to be more beneficial to everybody. So more to come on that, and I want to at least give the council an initial thought and briefing on that city of San Jose case.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I read that. Okay, anything else? No. Councilmember Overton, do you have a report?
I do. Okay, on the 28th, I think I told you guys before, I'm sitting on this coaches committee for part of the helping people decide how to put programs in for health. So we're meeting on a monthly basis and really kind of defining how we're going to do that. We will be bringing something to all cities and counties, and hopefully that you guys will support our ideas of how to do that. I went to a senior summit meeting on the 27th. That is for the senior summit that's happening in our county on April 1st. Please everybody go online and register for that. It's lcseniors.net. Look in at LC Senior Summits and you can register to go. It's free for anybody from 60 and older, and it's only $5 for everybody else. So you get a free meal and all kinds of things for that $5. It's really nothing. I went to a CPR class in first aid training on the 23rd. So if anybody has, anything, I can handle it here. The 8th I went to, yesterday actually, we had Area Planning Commission did their public meeting on transportation. Yeah, we had such a good turnout. It was like 3 of us there. I was really, it was really kind of sad, but I know that this is the beginning and this is kind of how these things end up. They thought they were going to get out of there, but they didn't realize that I can keep a meeting going pretty long. So they didn't get out so early. I had a lot of questions. I met with Brookdale over here and their new marketing manager, who's going to be, probably coming around to everybody, businesses, council members, and introducing himself. He's from here, so it's kind of nice that they finally hired somebody that's from the area instead of bringing them from out of the area. Hopefully that'll help them keep somebody there. I went to the Redwood Empire Division League of Cities meeting in Cloverdale on the 3rd. Of course, the issues of marijuana was there. I think we've all been kind of tired of that, and it's just kind of, you got to move on. The state's got to do something. We got to do something that fits our area. I did talk to them about how we did the dispensaries because they were all kind of like, how do we do that? And I said, well, this is what we did. It seems to be working pretty well. I don't seem to have any complaints about our dispensaries. So it's something that they'll probably be looking at ours and maybe even calling you, Greg, to talk to you about that. We also talked about things like dementia and healthcare and how that's going to work for our community and seniors. I think we're all getting where we know that baby boomers are coming up, which is, me anyway. And, as we get older, it's going to be what's going to happen because there's not facilities or anything right now. So that was one. Senator McGuire came to it, and Assemblyman Woods, both very nice, and kind of updated us on, as we all are, we don't know how things are going to happen and what's going to happen, and they're still kind of in that process at the state too. So it's really, we're kind of all just waiting to see things. So they're in the same stage as we are. We're all waiting to see. So. Only other thing I have to say is our personal March for Meals, with the proclamation, is on the 25th. We still have rooms for vendors or anybody that has information that works for an organization that would like to get the information out to our community about things that they do for our for our seniors. So this is an event for our local area, for anybody that has information that, I don't care if it's a business, if it's something that can help, our seniors' needs, then they're welcome to come and participate. And all they have to do is call or come down with a community center, senior center there, and get an application. So, and that's it.
Councilmember Harris.
Well, on the 24th, I got to participate in something that's really, really unique over at Pomo School. They have a Maker's Day, which involves bringing community members that are involved in particularly working with their hands, construction, that sort of aspects, to the school, and working with the children on a bunch of different programs where you can actually work hands-on and build things. And it's really a unique program, and I think it really speaks volumes to how I learned as a child. So I participated in that. Worked with the Seafood Boil on the 25th, which was a fantastic fundraiser for the Clearlake Rotary. Clearlake Rotary does a lot of wonderful things for our community, and with the funds that are raised primarily at that event. Worked on the Little League fields down there at South Shore Little League. Got to spend some time on my back and prep some areas, because we're going to be opening day is March 18th, and I encourage anybody to come down to the Little League fields. I know quite a few faces I do see down there during that, and I appreciate that. The kids, it's a huge part of their lives. Now around here, it's not a lot for the children to do, and that Little League provides an exceptional outlet for the children to do something productive and to get a lot of time, hands-on time with other children, and also people that are there concerned and caring for them. So that's March 18th is opening day, and the annual Clearlake cleanup, that's coming up. What the date on that again? April 22nd. So that's going to be a nice Saturday. We'll also get to spend some time out there, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Not much in the past couple of weeks. Spent most of yesterday at the transit building. We're renegotiating the contract that the Lake County Transit has with the outfit out of Bremerton, Washington. It's a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract. So a good part of our time yesterday after the regular meeting was spent on that. The abandoned vehicle meeting is scheduled for next week, the week after, next week. And we'll be going up to that. I'll let you know when that is. Maybe go out together. Yeah, we generally go up with Lieutenant Sully. And so it'll be a busy next couple of weeks. So that. Oh, also the seafood broil was awesome. Rotary made a few bucks out of it that will go towards supporting our community and the county as a whole, not just our community.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Let's see. I went to the seafood boil, which was excellent fun, excellent feast. First time I've been there, so that was really nice. On the 28th, I just wanted to say thank you to our Inter-Chief Tim Selly, as well as the rest of his crew, his team, our police department for taking part in our Woodland Community, or not taking part, for attending our Woodland Community College's Black History Month event. It was, it's always nice to see you guys in community events like this. I appreciate every moment that we have those. I spoke with a constituent about her concerns about her flooded house on Lower Lake Shore, and emailed our staff based on those concerns. And also, same deal as the South Shore Little League. I attended, kind of had to since I'm a coach, the final closing ceremonies for KBL, the Canoctown Basketball League. Again, another wonderful place for our youth to go to find a positive outlet in order to see things and experience things that they may not always experience in their personal lives outside of the sporting. That's pretty much all I've done that I can think of. I've been sick, and I'm really happy to see that our city manager actually had a voice today. So that's it. I'm going to stop there.
Thanks, sir.
Don't remember the rest.
Also attended and worked at the Seafood Boil, and I'd just like to stop for a second and say thank you to Joyce Overton, who worked her tail off in the kitchen. Not a Rotary member, just there helping and working with her crew from the Community Center, Senior Center. Thank you very much. Your help was very appreciated, and you were well remembered for all that help at our last meeting. So again, thank you for your help.
Thank you guys for everything that you guys do. That's why I come and volunteer, but please
We
do
try.
something with that kitchen.
We try. Yeah, we need to work on that kitchen. Came down for swearing in of our new dispatcher. And we are full staff, folks, at dispatch for the first time in 7 years.
7 years. Yes.
7 years, Lieutenant. That's outstanding. So good work selecting. Dispatchers, I think, are the hardest positions to fill because it's just a single percent of our population that really can excel in that. It really requires some special people. So congratulations on that. It's a relief, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. Attended the Adventist Health Clearlake brand announcement. Fantastic up at the hospital. There's a lot of folks, community members and leaders there. And I just want to compliment and commend the hospital for all the work they're doing. If you're looking for a job or you know someone who's looking for a job, the hospital is hiring. They have a lot of new open positions, and it's growing and going in good ways, I believe. Attended the Lake APC. I'd like to thank Mr. Leonard. He's also a member of the directors there, and Lake Transit Authority. Not too controversial. I think this was the most controversial meeting we had, but it went along smoothly. But with the Lake Area Planning Commission, I just want to tell you all, we got some good things happening. And finally, after years and years, I'm hopeful our Highway 29 project that will connect Lower Lake to Lakeport will finally start moving. I think that's moving along in the fundings there. And also just to comment on their AB1 and SB1, which is specific funding for our crumbling infrastructure in the state. That's looking like it's going to go through Assemblyman Bell and his proposal in the Assembly. They're looking at a new tax structure. Obviously, our gas usage has dwindled over the past years, and with electric cars and high mileage vehicles, people aren't buying as much gas, which is a good thing, except when it comes back to our roads. So they had to look at a new financing structure to then redirect funding for that. And hopefully that'll come through soon so we can start getting we're working on our streets here in the city. That's going to be wonderful. But it's nice when we leave the city limits, when all our roads are fixed, that we'll have some nice roads out in the state to drive on. So that was encouraging. And I also met after the meeting with our Public Works Director for some of the projects that we have going on in the city. And I'd like to thank Gallen Associates because they're very helpful. We had a nice little conversation there. That was about it, other than I got to read at Dr. Seuss Day at Elmore Elementary. Awesome to do that. Love Dr. Seuss books, and it's fun to see all those third graders. And that concludes my report for the fun stuff we've been doing the past 2 weeks. So thank you all. Is there anything we would like to see in a future agenda item coming up?
I wasn't sure. I do believe, based on information that I've received that our litter fine is about $25. I was wondering if we can review our littering fine, and I'm not sure if that's something.
More than just 374, maybe having a city ordinance or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay, yes.
I would be interested in seeing that. Maybe we had an ordinance with a little more teeth, maybe looking at those individuals who might hire private haulers, but garbage doesn't really get to the dump. I think that's a problem, a lot of problems with illegal dumping out in those residential areas, so I support that.
We've had a discussion about littering.
Thank you for just smiling at me and not throwing anything, Mr. Attorney. So do we have consensus? Bring that forward. Thank you, we have consensus. Anything else? Very good. Concluded.